Good afternoon, students. Today, we are going to just have a overlook on what we have discussed till now. So, we are into second chapter, that is about theory of consumer behavior. If you see this second chapter, this is the lengthiest chapter in second PU. It requires 20 hours, and you can expect more marks from this chapter. And it is very interesting, as the title of the chapter says that it is consumer behavior. We all are consumers, so we can easily connect to what we are discussing in this consumer behavior, because it is all about our behavior. So what the economics, or in economy what we learn, it is all about our behavior. So if we can understand in that way, being a consumer, what is my behavior when I go to market, when my income is fixed, when there is a change in the price of the good, when I go to one place to place. So all those things, if we connect to ourselves, we can understand this chapter easily, and it's very interesting. As I said, we can expect more number of marks from this chapter, and this is lengthiest. And what we have discussed till now, I'll just we'll have a glimpses on that. I'll just mention that. So we have understood what do you mean by utility. So utility is satisfaction level. Being a consumer, I always want to have a maximum satisfaction. For that, when I go to market, and in market, if we have the products x1, x2 or y1, y2, which gives me more satisfaction, which product I have to select. And while selecting, I will go for a optimal choice, which gives me maximum satisfaction. My selection also depends on price of the each good, my income, all those things comes into picture while deciding the product. Utility we have discussed, and can we measure my satisfaction or utility? We learned that aspect as well. We can measure the utility in two terms. One is cardinal, and another one is ordinal. So we can measure our satisfaction using these two methods. Cardinal means here we will measure our satisfaction in terms of numbers. As I have given the example, if I buy a new shirt, I say I am happy with 5 units. I am measuring my satisfaction by giving this number. So this is numbering concept, where we will try to measure satisfaction level using the numbers. That is cardinal approach. In ordinal approach, we will rank the bundles. If we have 2 bundles, which bundle gives me more satisfaction? Rather than giving the numbers, I will rank. This is much better than this. I will rank that bundle which gives me more satisfaction. We will call that as ordinal approach. So cardinal is numbering and ordinal is ranking system. In cardinal, we have understood what is total utility and what is marginal utility. Marginal utility is change in the total utility, that we call it as marginal utility. Correct? And then in marginal utility, we have understood law of diminishing marginal utility. in marginal utility we understood law of diminishing marginal utility, and this is all about cardinal. We discussed these things, and in ordinal method we try to understand indifference curve. I'll mention IC curve. And what do you mean by marginal rate of substitution? So IC curve means here we'll find out a curve which, if this curve includes bundles and these bundles gives us same satisfaction level, that we call it as IC curve, and in that we have discussed marginal rate of substitution. So if this is X product and this is Y product, if I want to substitute from 1 to 2, if I want extra quantity here, I have to forgo the quantity in Y group. I am substituting X for Y. So that we call it as marginal. At what rate? What is the rate I am substituting this X product by forgiving this Y product? That we call it as marginal rate of substitution. In that, again, we also understood the law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Correct? So, as I said, this law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution says that I am substituting and I want more of this quantity. For that, I have to forgo the quantity here. Correct? I am substituting X for Y group. Suppose we have taken this example. If I am substituting this quantity, I will take X and Y. If I want more of these goods, I have to forgo, I have to sacrifice Y group. So what is the rate I am sacrificing here? I am sacrificing 3 goods, 3 Y goods to get 1 additional X good. Correct? From 15 to 12, I have reduced 3 quantities of Y to get 1 quantity of X. So this is the ratio. So if you see this, here 2 I have sacrificed Y good to get 1 additional X good. Again, if you see, I am sacrificing 1 of Y good to get additional X good. Correct? This is how I am sacrificing this good to get this. I am substituting X for Y, and in what rate? This is the rate. 3 I substituted. After that, I reduced 3 in quantity. After that, 2 and 1. If you see this trend, this tells us how much I am sacrificing Y good. The sacrificing of Y good, if you see this trend, it is diminishing. It means to get 1 additional X good, to how much I am sacrificing here, it is also diminishing. Means when the quantity of X good increases, the sacrificing of Y good, it is decreasing here. Initially, I sacrificed 3 goods, but later it started diminishing. Later, I sacrificed 2, and after that, only 1 good I sacrificed. If this is the trend, we call it as law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution. So this we have discussed. And you can expect questions on these things. What do you mean by indifference curve? What is marginal rate of substitution? What is this law say? And how we can explain like that. And one more concept we have discussed here is, if we have a perfect substitution, I have taken example of 5 rupee coin, 5 rupee note. If we consider these 2 goods, it is a perfect substitution. Correct? When we have this kind of good, then the diminishing concept won't come into picture if we have these kind of products, because if I want from 1 5 rupees coin to 2 5 rupees coin, how much I will sacrifice here? The same one note only, correct? Because the value of both the goods is same. If I have 15 5 rupees notes and 1 5 rupees coin, if I want 2 5 rupees coin, one more extra 5 rupees coin, how much I will reduce here? Only 1, correct? So I will reduce 1 5 rupee note to get one extra additional 1 5 rupee coin, correct? So here we have a perfect substituting product here. In this case, there is no decrease in the MRS, marginal rate of substitution. It won't decrease. It means, as I said, 3:1, 2:1, 1:1, right? I sacrificed more initially, later we started reducing. That is law of diminishing. But if we have a same product, then it won't diminish, it will remain same. Because to get one additional product, I am sacrificing same quantity here. It is not diminishing, it will remain same. If we have this perfect substitute. And we have discussed monotonic preferences. What do you mean by monotonic preferences? If x1, x2 and y1, y2 are there. Suppose if x2 and y2 are same, and if we compare between x1 and y1, the x1 quantity is more compared to y1 quantity. So here he is getting extra good compared to this bundle, where the y1 good is lesser compared to x1 good. That time he will prefer this bundle. We call it as monotonic differences. So you can expect the question on these terms. What do you mean by marginal utility? What is IC curve, indifference curve? And what do you mean by marginal rate of substitution? What is that law says? All those things. And what is cardinal approach and what is ordinal approach? What is the difference between these things? You can explain and give the examples. And after that, in this indifference curve, we understood features of indifference curve. Before that, we also discussed indifference map. If we have a family of indifference curve, this we call it as indifference map. And as whatever I am telling here, it comes in the picture as well. When there is a higher indifference curve, if this is the X satisfaction level, with the increase in the indifference curve, the satisfaction utility also increases. So those are the features we understood. This is one of the feature. Higher the indifference curve, there is a greater satisfaction level. That is one feature. And second feature is indifference curve slopes downward from left to right. As we know, this indifference curve it slopes downwards from left to right. This is one more feature, because to get extra good, we need to forego this good. That is why if we are getting extra here, we are reducing here. So that is the reason it slopes downwards from left to right. That is one more feature. And third feature we have discussed, two indifference curves, they never intersect. Two indifference curves, this is IC1 and IC2, these two indifference curves, they never intersect, because as we know, the satisfaction for this indifference curve, it is X. If this is the higher indifference curve, then the satisfaction level will be X plus 2, correct? So here in this IC1, satisfaction utility is x and H2 it is x plus 2. So the utility is different here. The greater the IC curve, the greater the utility. But if you see this point, if we say it is B, in this point, there are these two indifference curves intersecting. We have a bundle here. So this bundle gives us what kind of satisfaction? Either x or x plus 2. Here, in this point, we will get conflicting result. The result is conflicting here. We can't say whether the utility is x or x plus 2. So that is why we can say these two indifference curves never intersect. That is third feature. So it is also very important. What are the features of indifference curve? As we know, the higher the indifference curve, greater is the satisfaction level. That is one feature. And second feature is this indifference curve, it slopes downwards from left to right. Because to get more quantity, you have to follow this. That's why it slopes downwards from left to right. And third feature here is two indifference curves never intersect. Why? We know and we discuss that. Because here, this point, the result is conflicting. That's why they can't intersect. So these are the features. We discussed that also. And we have discussed consumer budget. In that budget set and budget line we have discussed. Budget set means set of bundles which are available in the market. This set of bundles we call it as budget set. And budget line we have discussed. So we have an equation here, P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. So price and quantity of first good in a bundle, the bundle has x1 and x2 good, correct? So price of x1 good and quantity plus price of x2 good and quantity, we call it as cost of bundle. If this cost of bundle is equal to income of the consumer, then we will get a line like this. On this line, if these are the bundles, the cost of these bundles equal to income of the consumer. Then P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. This line we call it as budget line. Budget set is set of bundles available in the market. Those things we discussed that. And price ratio and the derivation of slope of the budget line we have discussed. So to get the x2 quantity, we found out this equation minus P1 by P2 into change in the x1 good. It gives us change in the x2 good. This is the equation. Again, to solve this equation, it takes much time. As we have already done this, just I am explaining. These are the points we have discussed. This is the derivation we have solved. And what are the changes in budget set? The changes in budget set we have discussed. If changes means budget, when we have income, if income changes, if income is greater, then how this budget set looks like. And if the income of the consumer is less, then how this budget line looks like. So those things we graphically represented in this way. If this is a budget line, if the income is greater, we move to this. If this is a budget line, we will shift to it moves to upward direction, it is downward slope if there is change in the income of the consumer. And if there is a change in the price, when price of the commodity is given, if there is a price change, if it is increased or decreased in a bundle, X1, X2, if price of one good, it increase or decrease, how this budget line looks like. That we have discussed. If this is the budget line, you will get inwards, and if this is the budget line, you will get outward slope. So these are the two different slopes you get if there is a change in the price. So these are the changes in budget that we have discussed now. And what is optimal change in the consumer choice? We also discussed optimal choice. So what is optimal choice? We have taken to five, as I said, while discussing optimal choice, we need to understand five concepts: indifference curve, indifference map, budget line, the rational consumer, monotonic preferences. These 5 points we need to understand to get this concept. So this is indifference curve, and these are the family of indifference curve. We call it indifference map, and this is the budget line. So what is his optimal choice? This point we will say it as optimal choice of a consumer, where this budget line tangent to the indifference curve, where this budget line touches this indifference curve. This point we call it as his optimal choice. This bundle is optimum bundle. This is about optimal choice we have discussed, and after this, in the previous class, we have discussed what do you mean by demand and demand function. The demand function says f of x is equal to y, and we discussed demand curve and law of demand. So these things we have discussed in the previous classes. What do you mean by demand? What is demand function? Demand function is relationship between quantity and quantity. Demand for a particular good and price of the good, y and x. There is a relationship between x and y. X is the independent variant and y is the dependent variable. This y depends on x. So this function we call it as demand function, and we discussed demand curve and law of demand. And we try to get a demand curve using the indifference curves. So when we have indifference curves, and this is demand curve, when there is an increase in the price, reduction in the quantity. When there is reduced price, then we will go for a more quantity, and still reduce, then we will get an extra quantity. So this is demand curve. Then what is the shift here? If this is one more good, we'll keep this in a bundle, we'll keep this good same, and this is other good. When there is a change in the price, then this good will remain same, and there is an increase in the X good. So we'll get new points here. So that is how this IC curve and demand curve we can understand together. So when there is an increase in the price, increase in the commodity. In a bundle, if we have banana and mango, the mango price decreases, then this indifference curve shifts. from icicle 1 to icicle 2, where the mango quantity will remain same, but with a higher quantity of banana because of the reduction in the price. So further reduces, then we will move to icicle 3, where mango quantity will remain same, but the quantity of banana increases due to the further reduction in the price. These things we have discussed, and we also understood what you mean by linear demand. This equation I have given. The demand for particular product at that price we can understand by this equation A minus BP. A is, as I said, it is the demand. A is demand at price 0. When price is 0, what is the demand? And B is slope of the demand curve. What is the rate? The demand is changing. And P is price. So if we know the demand for particular product when price is 0, if we take that and if we know the rate at which the demand curve is changing, the slope of the demand curve, how it is behaving, what is the rate, and if you know the price of the commodity, then we can get a demand for that particular commodity when the price is given. And the example we have taken here is if A is 100 and price is 10 of that particular commodity, then what is the demand when the price is 10? What is the demand for that particular commodity? If you put these numbers in equation, and B, the demand curve rate is 2. If you take these numbers, this is 100 minus B is 2 into price is 10. So 100 minus 10 into 80, sorry, 10 into 2 is 20. We will get 80 is the demand. The 80 is the demand for that product when price is 10. This is the, we can find out the demand of that particular commodity when price is given. This we understood in linear demand. This is linear demand function. DP, demand at particular price, demand for a product when price is given is equal to A minus B into P. So these things we have understood. So we discussed till now in consumer's behavior. If you observe this, all are related to our behavior only. What is our utility satisfaction? How we can measure that? And to keep my utility same, what are the different bundles I can go with? If I want to substitute one product, how much I need to forego with other product? And what is this law says? And what are its features? And how I can optimally select the bundles, all related to our personal experience. And what is budget line, what is budget set? Budget line is if I have income, then which bundle I can go with to match my income. That gives us budget line. So all these things are related to our personal experience. If we discuss that when we go to a market and try to put ourselves in this way, we can understand all these topics. It's nice, right? In a nutshell, we briefly explain all together what we discussed from beginning to till date. That is the linear demand. Now we have a small two topics here. We will discuss that, and that is, as I said, normal and inferior goods. What do you mean by normal good? What is inferior good? It is also interesting, and we personally experience this as well. Being a consumer, we know what do you mean by these goods, and what is our behavior with respect to these goods. Everyone experience this. Whatever we are discussing here, we experience this. Normal good means what? We know that. And what do you mean by inferior good? That also we know. But when we hear these terminologies, normal good, inferior good, all these things, we may not understand what you mean by normal good, what is inferior good, but we know what are all these things. Economics is nothing but what we experience, whether in terms of our income, the change in the market, the product price, how market is behaving, how our economy is behaving, how it's going to impact on our life. Our income, our tastes and preferences, how the market is behaving in this pandemic, what is happening. All these things are economics and we are experiencing that. So it is good to understand the concept and we can connect to the subject with our personal experiences. So today the new topic we will try to cover these two topics, normal and inferior goods. Normal and inferior goods. There is one more topic, substitutes and complements. That is one more topic we have, substitutes and complements. I will explain that after this. What is normal good? We have a income. Okay? This is the income. Normal good means such goods are called normal goods if it behaves or if we can find these changes here. If the increase in the income of a consumer, then he will go for a normal good. It means that we have a community X. Okay? It's very interesting if we discuss with example, we can understand that. First, I will explain the concept, then we can discuss that with an example. Think that income, I mentioned the price also here. Income is now 100 rupees he has. Correct? The consumer has 100 rupees. So with this income, we have a good called X. When there is an increase in the income, suppose with this income, if he buys 10 goods, with increase in the income from 100 to 200, what happens? There is an increase in the demand as well. He will buy more goods. Instead of X goods, when the price income is 100, he will buy more goods. It means there is an increase in the demand if his income increases. With the increase in the income, if the demand increases, then and also if decrease in the income from 100 to if his income is now 50 rupees, then instead of buying 10 goods, he will go for 5 goods. Correct? So with the increase in the income, if demand for particular good increases, and with decrease in the income, if demand for particular good decreases, then the tendency we call it as the goods comes under normal goods. The what are the goods? 100 rupees income. If I go to departmental store to buy rice packet, I will buy 2 kg. Correct? 2 kg rice I buy. If my income, the money in my wallet, it is more, then if my wallet is with 200 rupees, then instead of 2 kgs, I may go for 3 kg or 4 kgs. Correct? With increase in the income, there is an increase in the demand. If in my wallet, if I have 50 rupees, instead of going for 2 kgs, I may buy 1 kg. The reduce in the income reduces the demand for particular good. So these goods we call it as inferior, normal goods. Then what do you mean by inferior goods? The normal good, inferior good. What is demand here? And this is income, this is demand for normal good, and this is demand for inferior good. How these things behave. So as I said, if the income is 100, the demand is, I'll say X. Okay? If income is increased from 100 to 200, my demand for that particular commodity increases in normal goods. So it is 2x now. If my income reduces from 100 to 50, a demand for this particular product decreases. Increase in the income, increase in the demand. Decrease in the income, decrease in the demand. From X, if 100 rupees, if I go for X products with 50 rupees, I will go for X by 2. Decrease in the income, decrease in the demand for that particular commodity. If this is the behavior, those goods we call it as normal goods. Now, inferior goods means if I have 100 rupees, I will buy X quantity of inferior good. If I have 50 rupees, when the income reduced here, there is a increase in the demand. Right? With the reduction in the income, there is an increase in the demand for inferior goods. If the income increases, there is a decrease in the demand for inferior goods. अगर मेरे पास इनकम इतना है 100 रुपीज है, आई विल बाई एक्स गुड्स. मेरे पास इनकम कम हो गया तो इफ 100 रुपीज से 50 रुपीज बन गया मेरा इनकम, देन आई विल गो फॉर more inferior goods. If my income increases, then I will buy less of the quantity of these inferior goods. For example, if the person with 100 rupees, he will buy cereal, dal. I can say dal. He has a 500 rupees, so he will buy dal with price 120 rupees kg. Price of the dal is 120 rupees kg. Then we have one more price here. I mentioned here income. This is good P1, P2. The price of dal superior good, it is 120, and this is inferior good. The price here is 80 rupees. So when I have a 500 rupees, okay, I will go for this good where the price of dal is 120 rupees. Okay, so when I have 1500, I want to go for again this dal whose price is, the price of this dal is 120 rupees. The inferior good means, in the first concept, in normal goods, when there is increase in the income, there is increase in the demand for this product. This we call it as normal good. Correct? So when income increases, the demand for this good also increases. The price is 120. This good, the demand for this good increases with increase in the income. That is normal product, normal good. Suppose the second scenario, with reduction in the, and in the same way, if the income reduces from 1500 to 300, if income reduces, then the demand for this particular good also reduces. The increase in the, if 500 rupees is the income, this is the demand. If income increases, there is a increase in the demand for the same good. If income decreases, the demand for that good also decreases. This tendency is normal good. Suppose one more scenario here. As we understand carefully, by decreasing in the income, the demand is also decreasing in normal good. But same case, if income is reduced, there is a increase in the demand for inferior good. Correct? क्या होता है? If मेरा income कम हो गया तो मैं क्या करूँगा? I will go and buy the dal with 80 rupees per kg. Correct? So this is the scenario. So income reduces, the demand for that inferior good increases. If income increases, the demand for that particular inferior good decreases. This is the behavior with compared to when we discuss about inferior good. So when income is reduced, what I do? If income is reduced, I will not go and buy the dal with 120 rupees price. I will go and buy the dal with 80 rupees price. Because my income is reduced, so demand for that inferior good is increased now. I want to buy this good more in quantity. With reduction in the income, there is a higher demand for inferior good, and with the reduction in the income, there is a decrease in the demand for normal good. This is how it behaves. So inferior good means, you can say, with a lesser quality. Inferior goods are with a lesser quality. Suppose I'll take example, as I said. Okay. Movie, travel, park. I will take these examples. Movie, when there is a more money in my pocket, wallet, what I do? I'll go to movie and I'll book gold class. When there is a higher income, the demand for this gold class is more. When my income is less, then I will not go for a gold class. This is normal tendency. Okay. One more concept here is this is normal good. With increase in income, there is demand increases. With less income, the demand decreases for this gold class, the movie theater. Suppose we'll now discuss about the normal class, the front bench. We can say second class, we will tell that, right? Second class and Gandhi class. There, if my income decreases, then demand for this second class ticket is more. If my income decreases, then I'll go and buy second class movie ticket and watch the movie. If my income increases, then I'll not prefer to go to second class. Then the demand for the second class decreases. You can see here, right? With a decrease in the income, the demand for this class, demand increase. Decreasing income, demand increase. With the increase in the income, the demand for this class reduced. This is what the behavior with respect to inferior goods. The normal good means when there is an increase in the income, is not the case how we behave here. With the increase in the income, there is a decrease in the demand. But in normal good, with the increase in the income, the demand also increases here. If I have more income, I'll go. The demand for gold class increases. If less income, then the demand decreases here. Correct? That is the normal tendency we have, right? So, suppose second class, this is service. If we consider, this is same only. The one concept we need to understand here is the same product. It is normal good for me now when there is a decrease in the income. This is normal good for me now. This normal good will become inferior good when my income increases. Try to understand this. With this lesser income, the second class movie ticket, it is normal service for me. With the increase in the income, this normal service, it will become inferior to me. Now it is inferior. With the increase in the income, I will not go to inferior class goods. Now the demand for this class reduces. So that is how inferior goods behaves. With the decrease in the income, demand increases. With the increase in the income, demand reduces with respect to inferior good. Now substitutes and complements are there. They are different concepts. We will discuss that in the next class. Thank you.